Kyle Whitaker is a father, a husband, and the guy who's always kept the family from falling apart. Now he's flat broke, the business is dead, and the house might not be theirs by Christmas. But before he tells anyone, he's got one last plan, a picture-perfect vacation on the Florida coast to give them one good memory before everything unravels. You ever watch a man smile while he's drowning? That's Kyle Whitaker on the morning the family vacation begins. Grinning like a car salesman, his hands shaking as he loads the last cooler into the trunk of a leased SUV. To his wife Meg and their 2 kids bickering in the doorway, he's just being his usual over-prepared self. To Kyle, it's the final performance of a role he can't afford to keep playing. The house is mortgaged to the hilt. The business is gone. The credit card holding this vacation together is one late payment away from snapping. And he's still packed 5 types of sunscreen. SPF 50 for the kids. SPF 30 for Meg. SPF nothing for himself. Florida, he'd told everyone. One last summer blowout. The beach house, the seafood, the family reconnection they all desperately needed, but refused to admit. What he didn't say was that this trip was paid for with money that doesn't technically exist. Or that, when they get back, he'll have to tell Meg they might lose the house. But first, vacation. The beach house is in a little town on the Gulf Coast, where the ocean is warm and the mosquitoes are biblical. It's not the one Kyle originally wanted. That one had a pool and oceanfront views. This one has a cracked driveway and smells faintly like wet drywall. But the pictures online were flattering, and if everyone squints hard enough, it might still feel like paradise. They arrive in 2 separate cars. Jason, Kyle's younger brother, pulls up last in a rented convertible with a girl no one recognizes and everyone immediately dislikes. She's maybe 24, wears linen everything, and introduces herself as Saffron. Just Saffron. No last name. Says she's a breathwork facilitator. Kyle doesn't know what that means, but Jason looks proud of it, so he keeps his mouth shut. For now. Lexi, their older sister, is already at the house, drinking white wine from a coffee mug on the balcony, like she's on the edge of a nervous breakdown. And in fairness, she might be. She's newly divorced, emotionally volatile, and allergic to any setting with more than one happy couple. Meg tries. God bless her, she always tries. She starts unpacking with robotic efficiency, navigating between Jason's egomania and Lexi's sarcasm like she's trained for this exact moment. But even she can't hide the worry in her eyes when Kyle quietly mentions that the Wi-Fi isn't working and the AC is a little fussy. The first hour is a parade of complaints wrapped in forced politeness. Jason wants to know why the place doesn't have a hot tub if they're paying top dollar. Lexi rolls her eyes at the boho chic decor and says it reminds her of a Target clearance rack. Saffron asks if the house has a grounding mat. Kyle doesn't ask what that is. Dinner is a frozen pizza and overpriced wine from a tourist-trapped grocery store. Kyle stands over the stove, pretending not to hear the passive-aggressive comments floating in from the living room. Is this cheese vegan? Saffron asks. It's cheese, Lexi replies deadpan. That's kind of its whole thing. Jason laughs too loud and Kyle burns the crust. They eat on paper plates because no one wants to do dishes on the first night of vacation. The kids are on their tablets. Meg is scrolling Zillow, probably looking at houses they'll never afford. Kyle stares at the table, wondering how long he can keep the illusion going. After dinner, while everyone's distracted by their own disappointment, Kyle sneaks outside. The porch is humid, quiet, and smells like the sea mixed with mildew. He pulls out his phone and opens the banking app. Deck, $287.42. That's what's left. That's the real balance holding up this whole sandcastle fantasy. Core. He closes the app and leans back in the chair, watching the moonlight ripple across the waves in the distance. From inside, he can hear Lexi ranting about her ex-husband, Jason mansplaining crypto to Meg, and Saffron suggesting everyone start their day tomorrow with sun salutation mantras. He wants to laugh. He wants to scream. Instead, he sits very still, holding on to the last good lie he has left. This is fine, he tells himself. I can hold this together. Just one more week. And then the screen door creaks open. Meg steps out barefoot, arms crossed, the look on her face somewhere between suspicion and concern. You okay? She asks. Yeah, Kyle lies. just taking it in. She sits beside him in silence. For a moment, there's peace. Then she says, "You didn't use the joint account for this house, did you?" Kyle stares at the horizon. The silence between them thickens. "I put it on a card," he says finally. She doesn't ask which one. The next morning starts with coffee that tastes like burnt regret and Lexi yelling at a seagull. "I'm not even holding food," she shouts at the bird on the balcony. "Back off, you airborne rat." Kyle watches from the kitchen, mug in hand, feeling like a ghost in his own story. He barely slept. His brain was doing that 3 a.m. special, replaying every financial decision he's ever made, followed by a highlight reel of future disasters. Jason, meanwhile, is doing yoga in the living room, shirtless, grunting like he's lifting a truck when really, he's just stretching his hamstrings. Saffron's guiding him through a heart-opening flow while their niece and nephew walk by whispering, "What is happening?" The air conditioner wheezes like it's begging for retirement. The Wi-Fi still doesn't work. Kyle's already called the rental company twice, and both times they told him to unplug the router and manifest patience. He's dangerously close to manifesting a meltdown. The day's plan, Kyle's carefully budgeted family bonding plan, involves a trip to the beach. Simple, free, sunshine, sand, and togetherness. But the family has a gift for turning even the most straightforward moments into performance art. Lexi forgets her sunglasses and refuses to walk back to get them. Jason insists on parking closer, even if it means driving around for 30 minutes. Saffron brings her own homemade mineral water infused with healing frequencies, and Meg is trying to herd everyone like she's leading a kindergarten field trip. By the time they actually get to the beach, Kyle is already sunburned from setting up 2 umbrellas and a windbreaker that folds like a cursed origami puzzle. He drops into a beach chair, breathless and sweat-soaked, and finally closes his eyes for 10 seconds of peace, which is when Lexi starts. "So," she says, sipping iced coffee from a stainless steel tumbler, "how's business, Kyle?" Her tone is innocent enough to fool someone who hasn't known her since she used to steal his Halloween candy and blame it on ghosts. "It's fine," he says quickly. "Still doing digital marketing stuff?" Jason chimes in. "Bro's an entrepreneur. You know how it is. High risk, high reward." Kyle forces a smile. "Something like that." Saffron, lying on a beach towel shaped like a lotus flower, adds, "The universe usually rewards transparency." Kyle doesn't answer. Instead, he watches his kids dig a crooked sandcastle and tries to pretend everything isn't slowly catching fire. The tide starts coming in, which is exactly when Lexi realizes her tote bag is in the splash zone. She shouts, everyone scrambles, and Kyle ends up soaked trying to save her phone. The bag survives. His dignity, less so. Back at the house, while the kids nap and Jason takes a call about some real estate coin opportunity, Kyle checks the fridge. It's almost empty. Again, groceries were supposed to last 3 days. They lasted 1. He opens his phone, checks the credit card. Again, wonders if it's worth asking Jason to split the next grocery run, then slams the phone shut. Dinner is awkward. Again, Lexi's not hungry. The kids are cranky. Jason critiques the store-bought mac and cheese like he's a Michelin inspector. Saffron says, "Dairy blocks your spiritual chakras." Kyle has a second, helping out of spite. Later that night, while everyone's zoned out on their screens or fake meditating, Meg finds him on the porch again. "You've barely said 10 words today," she says, sitting beside him. "I said pass the ketchup like 3 times. She looks at him, not amused. "Kyle, what's going on?" He hesitates. Every instinct tells him to lie, to smile, to deflect, to protect her from the truth like he always does, but his defenses are cracking. "I thought this trip would bring us together," he says quietly. "Fix something." Meg sighs. "Kyle, we were never broken, just tired." He doesn't answer. Just stares at the stars like maybe they'll throw him a lifeline. "Juspro," inside. Someone drops a glass, Lexi yells. The kids start laughing. Jason says something about vibes. Kyle closes his eyes. "Cease. This was supposed to be the reset button. Instead, it feels like the countdown to impact." Nace. Kyle once read that people don't drown because they can't swim. They drown because they panic. That thought comes back to him while standing in line at the local grocery store, staring at the total on the screen, $198.62. The cashier's bored. His card is sweating. So is he. He types in his PIN, mentally praying. The machine beeps. Approved. Barely. He smiles, but it feels like a grimace. Loads the bags into the car like he's smuggling contraband. Then sits in the driver's seat with both hands gripping the wheel, forehead against the steering wheel. Breath slow. Stay calm, no panic. Not yet. Back at the house, he walks in just in time to hear Jason loudly explaining compound interest to Meg, like she didn't pass college algebra with honors. Saffron's meditating upside down on the couch. Lexi's scrolling through her ex-husband's new girlfriend's Instagram again, and the kids are watching YouTube on full volume. The groceries are met with a half-hearted, thanks. No one offers to help unpack. Lexi opens the fridge and squints. Did we really need 3 kinds of hummus? It was on sale, Kyle says. Lexi raises an eyebrow. Since when do you care about sales? The moment passes, but not unnoticed. That evening, while the others head to the beach for a sunset walk, Kyle stays behind to catch up on work. It's a lie. There is no work, not anymore. He sits on the porch, laptop open, rereading the same client email from 6 weeks ago. We regret to inform you we'll be going in another direction. Like the words might suddenly mean something different. He's tried every hustle, every Hail Mary, every trick in his entrepreneurial book. Nothing sticking. He scrolls to his inbox, finds a half-written email to Meg, one he started writing 2 months ago, but couldn't bring himself to finish. Subject: things I haven't told you. He deletes the draft. Again. Later that night, while Kyle's out taking the trash to the curb, Lexi wanders into the kitchen looking for her wine opener, and finds Kyle's laptop open on the table. It's not snooping if it's just accidental curiosity, right? What she sees makes her stop cold. Whole cool. The banking tab is still open. 2 accounts, both in overdraft. Credit cards near the limit. A mortgage statement flagged in red. She doesn't say anything. Yet. Instead, she pours herself a glass of wine, walks out to the porch where Kyle is faking peace again, and sits across from him like a bomb that hasn't gone off. So, she says casually, how's your little empire? Kyle blinks. What? You know. Whitaker Digital. Is it booming or busting? He freezes. Lexi. She holds up her hand. Don't give me the everything's fine speech. I saw your laptop. Kyle looks down at the boards under his feet. You shouldn't have. Oh, please. Save the lecture. I'm not an idiot, neither is Meg, by the way. She may be quiet, but she sees everything. Kyle's jaw tightens. I was going to tell her. After the trip? Lexi laughs, sharp and humorless. So what, you were going to let us all pose for family photos in the sand while your whole life imploded behind the scenes? He says nothing. Lao. She stands, wine glass in hand, looking down at him. You should have told someone, Kyle. You're not the only one falling apart. Then she walks inside, leaving him alone with the sound of the waves and his own spiraling thoughts. The next morning, the tension in the house is like humidity, heavy, sticky, unavoidable. Kyle tries to act normal, smiles too much, offers to make breakfast. No one's buying it. Jason walks in halfway through scrambled eggs and says, Lexi says you're having money problems. That true? Meg freezes. The kids look up. Even Saffron senses something's wrong. Kyle's fork scrapes his plate like a warning. I'm handling it, he says through gritted teeth. Jason shrugs. No shame in asking for help, bro. You always played it like you had your life figured out, but I guess we're all just... I said I'm handling it, Kyle snaps. Jason holds up his hands. All right, man, don't blow a gasket. Meg puts down her coffee slowly. Kyle, is this true? Kyle looks at her, really looks, and sees that she already knows. She's just been waiting for him to confirm it, and he can't. Not here. Not in front of the kids. So he pushes back from the table and walks out the front door, barefoot, into the sand like maybe the ocean can give him a do-over. Leba. Behind him, voices rise. Confusion, frustration, questions tossed like darts. Lexi says something sharp. Jason fires back. Saffron asks if anyone wants to breathe through it. But Kyle doesn't hear any of it. He's already halfway down the beach, feet sinking, the tide pulling at his ankles, wondering what it takes for a man to admit he's drowning. Without going under, it starts with thunder, not dramatic thunder, just a low, grumbling roll that rumbles across the gulf like a warning shot, the kind of sound that makes people glance at the sky, then carry on like nothing's coming. Setted, Kyle feels it in his chest before he hears it. Something tight, coiled, electric, setted. He's been walking for an hour, maybe more, barefoot, along the shoreline. No phone, no wallet, no plan. Just the rhythmic rush of the waves and the weight of every bad decision he's made in the last 2 years, pushing down on his spine. By the time he turns back, the sky's gone purple. Storm rolling in fast, which feels appropriate. Back at the house, the atmosphere is matching the weather. ND. Meg is in the kitchen, silent, stirring something she's not cooking. Her hands move automatically, but her eyes are somewhere else, processing, calculating, wondering how long she's been left out of the loop. Lexi's pacing, glass in hand, on her second monologue about family lies and childhood favoritism. Jason's flopped on the couch, arms crossed, jaw tight, the way he always does when he feels cornered. Mime. Saffron is nowhere to be found. Someone mentioned she went to meditate in the rain. Bud. I'm just saying, Lexi snaps, maybe we stop pretending Kyle's the stable one, okay? Maybe he's not the hero in this little Hallmark Beach special. You don't know what he's dealing with, Meg says without turning around. I know he lied. Or maybe, Jason cuts in, he just didn't want to be pitied. You ever think of that? Lexi turns on him. Oh please, you're the king of performative self-sufficiency. How's that eco-friendly crypto co-op going? Still not a pyramid scheme? Don't talk about things you don't understand. Then explain it to me, Jason, like I'm one of your Twitter followers. Meg slams the spoon down in the sink. Hard. I can't do this, she says. Not like this. The thunder cracks again. Louder now. And as if on cue, the front door opens. Not the learn. Kyle walks in, soaked through, hair plastered to his forehead. Eyes glassy, like someone who's just crawled out of a shipwreck. No one speaks. Them lot can speaks, Amy shy lies. He kicks off his shoes, walks straight into the living room, stands there in front of them like a man about to confess to a crime, car espressor. I lost the business, he says, voice low, months ago. A beat of silence. Then too, the only sound is the soft patter of rain starting against the windows. I maxed out every card we had. Borrowed from Mom, lied to clients, lied to Meg. I thought I could turn it around, I always do. But I didn't. And I brought you all here to give you one last perfect thing before it all comes crashing down. His voice breaks slightly. I was going to tell you after the trip. I didn't want to ruin this. Lexi sinks into a chair like the wind's been knocked out of her. Meg's lips part like she's about to speak. But no words come. Jason shifts, uncomfortable, staring at the floor. Finally, it's Lexi who speaks. You think we care about the money? Kyle looks at her, unsure. Lexi laughs. Not mockingly, bitterly. I wish you had told us. I wish someone, anyone, in this family said what they were really feeling once in a while. She sets her glass down. I'm drowning too, Kyle. Divorce wrecked me. I still sleep on one side of the bed and pretend it's by choice. She looks away. And you, she points at Jason. You act like you've got it all figured out, but you've changed jobs 6 times in 3 years, and now you're dating a woman who thinks deep breathing can cure depression. Hey. Jason starts. No, Lexi cuts him off. I'm not judging. I'm just saying maybe we all stop pretending. For once. The room falls silent again. Not cold this time. Just exposed. Saffron appears in the doorway, barefoot, soaked, holding a bundle of wet sage. I think the energy's been cleared. Everyone turns. Then, absurdly, laughs. Real, tired, unexpected laughter. Veggies Bray, even Kyle. Allie. It doesn't fix anything. The debt's still there. The storm outside is getting worse. And inside, there are years of hurt that no single beach week can erase, but for one breath, one shared moment, they stop drowning separately. Though free. They sit together. Low plans. No lies, just the sound of the rain, and the quiet knowing that something's finally broken open. And maybe, just maybe, that's what healing looks like. The storm passes overnight. By morning, the air feels scrubbed clean. The beach is empty, scattered with driftwood and broken shells, like the ocean itself decided to shake things loose. Inside the house, the power's still out. No Wi-Fi, no AC, no background noise to distract anyone from themselves. It's just the family now. Raw, unplugged, and completely unfiltered. Kyle wakes up on the couch with a stiff neck and Meg's hoodie draped over him like a peace offering. She's already up, sitting at the table with a legal pad and a cup of instant coffee made with boiled sink water. She looks tired, but not angry. She doesn't say anything when he walks in, just slides the pad across the table. Mansing. It's a budget. Mansing. Kyle stares at it, then looks up at her. Mansing. I didn't marry you for the lifestyle, Meg says quietly. I married you for the idiot who once tried to fix our leaky sink with duct tape and a turkey baster. Kyle laughs, even as something tight in his chest gives way. That actually worked for like 2 hours. Meg smirks. I know. You made a YouTube video about it. They sit in silence, sipping bad coffee and watching the sunlight creep across the table like it's trying to apologize too. The kids wake up next, followed by Jason, who looks like he slept in his clothes and maybe wrestled a raccoon. He mutters a half-hearted morning and starts rummaging for cereal. Lexi emerges last, sunglasses on, hair in a messy bun, clutching a glass of orange juice like it's a hangover cure and holy water combined. I made pancakes, Kyle offers, pointing to a plate. Lexi eyes him like she doesn't quite believe it. Are they poisoned? Nope, unless you count expired almond milk. She snorts and grabs two. Jason eventually sits at the table with them, chewing in silence. He glances over at Kyle. So, about yesterday. Yeah? Jason scratches the back of his neck. I've been thinking. That idea you had about the local business digital package thing. If you ever want a partner, someone who can handle the sales side. Kyle raises an eyebrow. You'd work with me? Jason shrugs. I'd invest. Maybe. It's either that, or take another job selling overpriced tech to middle managers who think Slack is a lifestyle. Kyle nods slowly. I'll think about it. Lexi perks up. You guys gonna do matching polos? Maybe get a team slogan? Jason flips her off with a half smile. Later, they all head down to the beach. No plan, no itinerary, just the sound of waves and the occasional gull scream. It's warm again. Clean. New. The kids run ahead, chasing each other with plastic shovels, and for once, no one yells. Lexi stretches out on a towel and pulls out a novel. Jason starts a sandcastle with his niece and looks more relaxed than Kyle's seen him in years. Saffron rejoins them, fresh from wherever she meditates. She hands Lexi a crystal and says it's for grounding after emotional excavation. Lexi deadpans. Cool, I'll use it to prop up my wine glass. Even Meg laughs at that one. Kyle and Meg walk along the shoreline, hand in hand, toes sinking into the wet sand. It's not a reconciliation. There was no betrayal, no grand fall. But it feels like they're starting again. Not from scratch, but from real. I'm scared, Kyle admits. Good, Meg says, means you're not faking anymore. They stop and watch the kids build a crooked sand fort, yelling about dragons and sea monsters. It's too close to the tide line. It'll wash away within the hour. But they keep building anyway. Kyle looks at them, then at the ocean, then back at his wife. Maybe it's not about holding things together, he says. Maybe it's about being willing to rebuild. Meg squeezes his hand. That's the real job, isn't it? By sunset, the sky's a masterpiece, orange melting into purple, clouds catching fire. Lexi snaps a picture. No filters, no retakes. Just one of those rare, unplanned moments where everyone's actually smiling, even Kyle. They pack up on a Sunday morning. There's sand in everything. Towels, socks, cereal boxes, Lexi's expensive purse. She blames the kids. They blame the wind. The air inside the house smells like sunscreen and damp laundry. The power finally came back overnight, just in time for them to not need it. Jason folds beach chairs with the reluctant energy of a man who only does chores in front of an audience. Saffron sings to a potted plant she's taking home. For spiritual reasons. Lexi is triple-checking outlets and muttering about forgetting chargers. Kyle stands in the hallway, suitcase by his feet, staring at the bare walls. Well, sa ISS chilly. ISS chill. It's funny. When they got here, This place felt like a stage. Something he had to light and dress and choreograph just right to keep the illusion going. But now, stripped of all the tension and performance, it just feels like what it is. A weathered beach house that survived the storm. Just like them. Meg walks up beside him, wrapping an arm around his waist. You ready? He exhales. I think I am. She smiles and squeezes his side. Good. Because we're out of snacks and I'm 2 hours from losing it. Outside, the cars are loaded. The kids are arguing about whose turn it is to control the playlist. Jason's trying to secure the potted plant in the trunk without crushing it. Lexi's waving at the neighbor across the street, who may or may not have called the cops earlier in the week about excessive chanting. Kyle takes one last look at the house before locking the door. He doesn't feel shame anymore. Not exactly. There's still fear, sure. Still uncertainty. But there's also this strange, unfamiliar lightness, like setting down a backpack he didn't realize was full of bricks. Lexi walks over and hands him a folded piece of paper. What's this? He asks. A contact, she says. Old client of mine, small business owner, hates social media but knows she needs it. Thought she might be a good fit for whatever you're planning next. Kyle stares at her, surprised. She shrugs. Don't get weird about it, I'm not offering money. Just a lead. He grins. It's appreciated. Jason walks up, holding out his phone. Also, if you want to circle back on that pitch, I sketched a few ideas. Don't laugh. Kyle scrolls. The design is rough, but it's there. Potential. Collaboration. Something new. I won't laugh, he says. We might actually be onto something. Jason nods. Cool. I mean, we'll probably kill each other, but cool. Saffron appears suddenly. I think the family healed a lot of generational karma this week. No one answers. Kyle pats her on the shoulder. Thanks, Saffron. They pile into their cars. 2 vehicles. 1 family. Kind of. As they pull away from the house, Kyle watches it shrink in the rearview mirror. Not with sadness, but with the same fondness you feel for a song that hit hard once and still stirs something, even if it no longer defines you. On the road, the kids argue about fast food. Meg scrolls through photos on her phone, stopping at the one from the beach, the sunset, the sandcastle, everyone smiling. Imperfect, blurry, absolutely real. Lexi wants us for Thanksgiving, she says, without looking up. You think we should go? Kyle chuckles. Sure. What's the worst that could happen? She raises an eyebrow. You really want me to answer that? He smiles. Outside the car window, the Gulf slips away, replaced by highways and gas stations and all the noise of real life. But Kyle doesn't feel like he's leaving something behind. He feels like he's bringing something back with him. Something honest. Something earned. Proach. Something worth holding on to, even if it's just sand in a shoe that won't come out, no matter how hard you shake it. The vacation didn't save us. But maybe it reminded us why we were worth saving in the first place. And somehow, that's enough.